Alright guys, I'm back with another State of Origin preview. Game 1's done and dusted. It's time for Game 2 over in Perth. It's do or die for the Queenslanders, and the Blues are looking to take out the series. I won't go too much into Game 1, but obviously that was a complete domination by New South Wales, particularly in the forwards. Their middles just rolled through the Queensland pack. The Queensland pack was very disappointing, to say the least, but anyway, we're going to break this down a little bit. So much of the talk for Game 2 has centered around Billy Slater and his team selections, particularly the forward pack. Nanai and Carrigan have dropped back to the bench. I mean, I thought Nanai was one of our better players in the first game, particularly on kick chase. You know, if you looked at his stats, it didn't read like much, but things like kick chase, it's not on a stat sheet. I think Carrigan's one of our best middles, so dropping him back to the bench, I really don't understand it. I can see that Billy is definitely trying to stiffen up the bench, but I don't think that the way that you do that is by weakening the starting side. No disrespect to Trent Liero, but personally, I think if he didn't play for the Melbourne Storm, he wouldn't be getting picked. I think it's become obvious, and it's probably pretty natural because he knows these guys, but I think there's a definite Melbourne bias that's starting to come into his thinking when it comes to team selections. I think the biggest disappointment is the big red, Corey Horsburgh. I think, really, I just can't understand why he didn't come into the 17. His team's, you know, one of the top teams in the competition this year. He's got a bit of mongrel in him, you know, doesn't mind taking the ball forward, doesn't mind getting into the tough stuff. So, yeah, I can't make sense of that. But I guess you got to live and die by the coach's decisions. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday night. Obviously, for the Blues, it's pretty much business as usual. Bit of a disruption with Moses going down with a calf injury the other day. That puts a bit more pressure on Cleary to do the bulk of the kicking, but Jerome Luai coming in, that's a pretty much seamless transition, so I don't think that's going to hurt them too much. Some of the guys in the Queensland team that'll be looking for a big game, definitely Cameron Munster, being named captain. It's going to put a bit of extra responsibility on him. I think we've really got to see Money just run the ball. I think that's when he's at his most dangerous, when he's just running the ball, playing off the cuff. So I'll be looking for him and Tommy Dearden to be getting in there. You know, quick play the ball, run the ball, quick play the ball is going to depend on the forwards going forward, which I think is going to be very difficult considering the team, but who knows, they might have something up their sleeve, so we'll see what happens. Another guy who didn't have his best game in the first game, Harry Grant. I really can't see him playing that badly. A lot's been made about him starting and how when he starts, his winning percentage is a lot lower than when he comes off the bench, but, you know, who knows with that? It's hard to read into those stats a little bit sometimes, but there could be something in it as well. Alright, so like last game, I'm going to have a little bit of a play on this one. Last game, I got Zach Lomax as the first try scorer. I'm going to double up on that one. And for the Maroons, I was going to go Jeremiah Nanai because I just really like him, you know, for a first try, maybe swooping on a kick, but since we're not sure if he's going to start or if he's going to come off the bench, I'll keep him in as a second option, but I'll go Tommy Dearden as a first try. I don't know. I just think he's going to be hungry. You know, maybe a little show and go somewhere along the line, and he can sneak his way over for a meat pie. And for this one, for man of the match, obviously I'm a bit biased as a Queenslander. I'm going to go for Harry Grant. I just think there's no way he's going to play that bad 2 games in a row. You know, I know there's been a lot of talk made about him, but he's still an elite hooker. He's still the Australian hooker. Personally, I think if you're a betting man, New South Wales look like a pretty safe bet in this one. Their forward pack is just far too superior. But you know, I'm hoping that a little bit of Queensland spirit, you know, you never know. We've all seen it in Origin before. Heavily priced favourite gets beaten by the underdog. It's a story as old as time. I think for the Blues, it's just much of the same, you know. If they can play up to the same level that they played in the first game, it's going to make it very difficult for Queensland. if Queensland can get them off their game a little bit, and Queensland can raise the level, and they can get some front foot momentum, get some dominance through the ruck. They do have a lot of speed. They've got guys like Hammer. I think in the first game, that was the quietest I've seen him in Origin. They need to find some ways to get him more involved. But yeah, to me, there's just so many puzzling selections from Queensland, and it's starting to remind me a little bit of what happened with Brad Fittler. He come in, had a couple good series, and then, I don't know, for whatever reason, the selections get too much. I guess it just goes to show that no one is safe from the pressure of Origin. It's the highest, it's the pinnacle of rugby league. I know people get upset when you say that because international football should be, but we all know that Origin, it's the centerpiece of the game. So I definitely, I know one thing with Queensland, they won't go down without a fight. I think, I think Tino will be better for the run. I think, in the first game, I think he was just a little bit too pushed over the edge, and like you could see before the game, he was very emotional. That's fine being emotional, but that needs to be channeled correctly. Queensland don't have a very good record in Perth, I'm aware of that. My heart says the Maroons and my head says the Blues for this one. Alright guys, enjoy your Origin football.